Hey everybody, welcome back. HSC Podcast Sports. Got Big Box Steve on the mic. Got Big Smooth and no Fresh West tonight. So one thing is that we don't get interrupted all the time. No, I'm just giving. Gotta give Wes a hard time for not showing up. There we go. So sports topic tonight, obviously. We're going to be talking the Knicks, but basketball in general, NBA. So first and foremost, Knicks sweep, move on. What's this mean for the Knicks uh, in general and specific to this playoff?
I mean, it's just they get a rest. There's no chance of injuries. We've seen the Thunder, Jalen Williams get hurt, AJ Mitchell get hurt. Um, every game you play, someone might get hurt.
Right.
So they get full rest, and Harden basically said the reason they lost was because they were too tired from playing too many games. Well, the Knicks are going to be playing like 4 games in 20 something days.
Yeah. They're getting
So
a
they're going to
nice
be well
long
rested.
rest.
Now, at the same time, like I noticed, they didn't shoot as well against Cleveland as they did against Philly. At least from three, like Brunson,
Yeah.
OG. So maybe the layoff might hinder them with the shooting, but they're gonna have all their legs. I think it's gonna be whoever they play, it's gonna go. It's gonna be a battle. It's not gonna be a cakewalk like everyone thought it was. That the Western Conference was just gonna roll whoever came from the East.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because I've seen a lot of people posting videos and things about early commentary about the Knicks or the East in general, right? And now that the Knicks are just killing people, honestly, like just blowing out the East. Now everybody's all of a sudden talking about, oh, this is going to be a good finals,
Yeah.
and it's
Mhm.
like how quickly you guys change your tune.
I've been inundated like with so many of these people that are like at the beginning of the playoffs, Knicks have no chance, they'll lose to the Hawks. And then it was like they have no chance against the 76ers. And then oh, Cleveland will beat them. The Cleveland's a better team.
Yeah, they're not number one, and the Knicks, they're more well rounded than all the teams that they've beat. And then you have Brunson on top of that, who's playing exceptionally well.
Well,
Yeah, his 3-point shooting may not be great, but he's leading the floor, lots of assists still, gets to the line when he needs to, and he scores, over 20 regularly every game, close to 30. So he's giving you a lot of consistency.
and they learned, and I think that's what happened. Why they got rid of Thibodeau because last year, and that's what I said at the beginning when we started talking the playoffs about the Knicks. I don't want it to be Brunson ISO ball game. Now it was great in little spurts like when he took over in game one, but they have turned the corner and now it's you don't know who's going to beat you. You don't know any like you said like with the bet it's the next betting is killing you because you're like, "Oh, Miles McBride, he's looking hot. He had like 7 threes in a game. Now he's going to do nothing. It's going to be Landry Shamet."
Right.
Or, okay, maybe Shamet had a good series. It's like maybe this next series is going to be Alvarado. You don't know.
Well, and their starters are even worse because it's the same thing with, Josh Hart, will all of a sudden sit a whole fourth quarter on you. And then the next game come out and get, his normal almost triple double. And you don't know where to put them, especially with the way OG's playing, because he's same thing, up and down, depending on, how, Bridges plays. So it's definitely rough with the Knicks right now because you're right. They're playing as a team. Anybody can beat you in any given night, and you better be ready to play defense on all of them. That does bode well for the Spurs and OKC because they are defensive teams versus, say, Cleveland, whose defense is just awful. Their
Right.
big men just did not show up, first of all. You've got Evan Mobley and Jarrett, right? Jarrett Allen. Two pretty good big guys. and not they're long too. In the defense, they're not getting rebounds. They're not doing anything, in the paint, and that just killed Cleveland.
Well, that's because, you have OG, Bridges, and Hart who are just can play 4 through 2 pretty much, and they all get rebounds. I mean, Hart isn't like, but the others are lengthy. But Hart just gets rebounds.
Right.
He just
Well,
does.
he's just a better scrapper and baller than most when you think about it. When you're getting that many assists and rebounds regularly at his size and his position and the way he's asked to defend different people, that's a solid player.
Right. And that's why I think they match. Well, I know it was regular, but they really match up well against the Spurs because Towns makes Wemby can't. He has to go outside now, and so it leaves the middle open.
Yeah, and Robinson is a really good backup, and even just coming in and playing good minutes, even with Towns on the floor, and that makes them pretty tough when Robinson's getting rebounds, and especially when they're not guarding him backside and he's getting those easy alley oops. So I think OKC is learning a lot from the San Antonio series, and they will probably be the better matchup for the Knicks. You're right. I think if San Antonio wins the series, I would say the Knicks have a good shot at winning. I have to stick with our original, or at least my original, which was OKC Knicks. I still think OKC has the experience as long as they don't get too tired. That's going to be the killer, right? If they go to a really brutal 7-game series here with which it looks like, here's what's going to happen. They're going to go back to San Antonio, and the refs are going to be totally on San Antonio's side, and they're going to be like, "We need a game 7, refs," and NBA is going to be like, "We need the ratings." San Antonio's winning game 6.
Yeah.
They have
Well,
to, right?
you saw it in Cleveland. The refs were letting a lot of what the Cavs were doing go. It was just they gave up.
Right. The Cavs had already given up. The refs are trying to help them.
Yeah. And that's where I think what the thing with the Knicks is they're so relentless. They made the Hawks, Sixers, and Cavs all give up. They all did.
Really did. I mean, when you think about the losses, but when you're losing by 50 at half, what do you do?
But the Knicks were down by what, 20 with like 8 minutes to
Yeah.
go and came back. That's why I think they're different. They don't like that's the thing is Harden. My goodness. I'm so sick of anyone saying that Harden is one of the top like 10 NBA players or whatever. He's not even top 20 because he never shows up in the playoffs. And he always makes excuses. And he always shrivels under pressure.
I mean, you watch the series and he's shooting a low percentage. He's not playing good defense. He gets to the line and he relies on that pretty heavily. But in the playoffs, you're not always getting those same tic tac fouls as you would get during the season, and that's why he can't be as successful because they're taking that away from him in the sense that, hey, we're going to make you play with through a little bit of contact.
Well, and I think it was a third of his games in the playoffs. He had more turnovers than field goals.
It's wild.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, he has turnovers anyway. He plays that head down style of basketball, and it makes it hard for him to see the floor well. So Knicks in good shape. Let's talk OKC San Antonio. Obviously, I kind of gave my prediction there is they're going to a game 7. Um, OKC could still win in 6, I think. If they go in, they shoot like they're capable of from 3-point range, they're so hard to beat. And so even with ref help, I don't know if San Antonio could come from an onslaught of OKC's threes. But if they don't shoot well from 3-point line, it'll go, tight game. San Antonio wins in the end with a bunch of fouls. And then we get game 7.
And anything can happen in a game 7 because you do have Wimby.
Right.
He could just go out of this world, because he's what the alien.
Yeah.
And you just don't know. You never know in a game seven.
Yeah, they tend to let them play a little more in a game seven, right? So you get a little freedom. Uh, Also, at some point, you can't just keep fouling him over and over and over again. They're going to have to let him loose. And if he can hit some threes, stretch the floor, and then get inside, he's more dangerous. Because part of his game and a big part of his game is the inside out, right? When he's kind of stuck in the mid range to the paint, and there's big guys as well, he's not as dangerous as he is when he's playing the whole floor. And I think OKC has kind of figured that out when you look at the last few games. I don't think he's, hitting any threes. He took a couple last game. I don't think he made any, but he's just had a couple games where he's not hit a lot of threes. From Wemby hasn't. So that's kind of interesting. Who do you think's going to take Game 6? You think OKC can close out, or San Antonio takes the Game 7?
I think, like you said, I think it's the NBA wants a game seven.
The fans kind of do too, because there was this big portrayal of this being the finals,
Right.
and so and a Game 7's always exciting, especially in the conference championships. Makes for
Well,
good
here's
TV.
the thing is, and if you look at in history of the NBA, and that's why I have hope for the Knicks is it's steps. You take steps. Every team that wins a championship takes steps. Last year, the Knicks were in the Eastern Conference Finals, lost to the Pacers, right? This year, now they're in the NBA championship. They made the step. OKC two years ago, were supposed to be the team, right?
Right,
And they lost. And then last year they took the step to win NBA championship. So like for the Spurs, I feel like this is the year where they look really good. They just come up short, but then next year, look out.
right. And they're young, so that supports that even more. And they play really good defense, which that's kind of a key, I think, for these teams to do what you're talking about, which is continue to make steps forward. You really have to have a solid core of defenders because it's that lengthy playoff process, playing great players, good teams, and defense really still wins championships. It's crazy that even in this crazy game of, bombing threes everywhere, that OKC, as you watch them, they're relying more on a tougher game. They are fouling, but it's part of the kind of the rough game they're trying to play. But you're right, in the sense, in my opinion, that San Antonio is taking their first step because they could be good for a long, long time. But so can OKC when you think about it. I guess the other thing is you look at the McCain edition, like that's a big one for them.
Job 76ers.
They could have traded Paul George for, 7 picks. All right, so game 6 coming up. Still, again, we talked at the beginning of the playoffs for the start, and not just because it's Knicks OKC, but that's what we predicted when we looked at the beginning of these playoffs. And I'm sticking with it. I think San Antonio made a good step this year. OKC goes, and boy, that's going to be an interesting finals if that's the way it plays out. All right, well, bring your own topic weeks again. What do you got for us this week?
Well, it's going to be a little harder just with you, but it is. I will give you. How many teams will I give you? Let's go seven. I'm going to give you seven teams, and you need to blind rank them.
Oh, okay.
Best NBA team by season.
Oh, by season. Jeez. Okay.
And I'll preface in one like there's only going to be like one Jordan Bulls or one Magic Lakers or one
Got it.
just
Yeah,
one. So you don't be like, oh well.
right. Okay. Let's do it.
Okay, so top seven, the 89 Pistons,
89 Pistons. And so, yeah.
bad boys.
Ah, man. I'm gonna give them a solid five.
The 2014 Spurs.
Oh, that's a good one. Jeez. Oh man, I think I want to make the Pistons six now. Let's put them at four.
The 86 Lakers.
Hmm. Hmm. I gotta. Oh man, that's really tough. I'm gonna put them at two.
The 71 Milwaukee Bucks.
Oh God.
That's Kareem,
I know.
Oscar Robertson.
They should really be four, but I gotta put them at six.
The 15 Warriors. You have one, three, and seven.
I know. They gotta go at seven. I got the Celtics at three and the Bulls at one.
No, that's not who's left.
Okay. That, that's what I was figuring on, so you might have just messed me up.
The 73 Knicks.
Oh, geez. Well, I got to put them at three. So that's still a great team,
Yeah, they have seven Hall of Famers on that
right?
team.
Yeah.
And so your number one is the 1983 76ers.
Oh, geez. I should have known better. Should have known better. Yeah, I mean, the Warriors, it throws you off because, with all the spots taken, knowing that now, obviously I'd probably switch them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was tough with the ending because there's no Jordan and
Yeah,
then
it
there's
is.
no Celtics. You got to save room for both of those in your mind.
Right. Well, yeah, because I wrote down 10 teams, but I didn't want to go. I had the 95 Bulls, 85 Celtics, and 2000 Lakers.
Yeah, so 2000 Lakers are tough too, but you already had the Lakers in there, so I knew they weren't coming. I mean, of those teams, as you're talking about those, yeah, maybe I'd move the Pistons down a little bit. I'd probably move the Warriors up in that case because the not like they're not going to take a lot away from the 76ers, but they're probably down there at like six or seven as well.
Well, they did, think about 83.
No, they're all great teams. It's the problem, but some of those teams, like when you think about like the Knicks team, for example, but then you look at Milwaukee.
Right.
Man, that's a lot of good teams, and you're not even talking about some of the best, right? The three you mentioned, that you didn't put in there.
I mean, to be fair, the 76ers of 83 swept the Lakers
Yeah,
in the finals. And they had Moses Malone, Dr. J, Maurice Cheeks, Bobby Jones, and Andrew Toney.
What a great team too.
Yeah. But they must they didn't play Boston though. What happened to Boston? Who beat Boston that year?
So 83. Oh, I don't know. So all right, well, that was a tough one. What's your give me your top three of the teams that you said.
Um, I'd probably go 86 Lakers, 15 Warriors, and 73 Knicks. Just
Yeah,
because the Knicks team had seven Hall of Famers and beat the Lakers of Wilt Chamberlain and Jerry West. And then like the 86 Lakers, forget about it.
right.
And then I'm going to throw the newer crowd a bone and say the Warriors with Steph. And
Yeah, I mean they were a really good team. They have the record to prove it and all that. It's tough with them because it's a newer style basketball, right? And it's a different team makeup than what some of the teams you're talking about that you put in there. Man, those teams were just built different.
it looks like Milwaukee swept Boston in 83.
Wow, that's tough.
Yeah. But Milwaukee was, what they had,
Who was on the team?
Bob Lanier, Marquez Johnson, Sidney Moncrief, Paul Pressey, Junior Bridgman. They were a decent team.
Yeah, they must have played really well.
Was Bird hurt or something?
I'd have to look up. I mean, was Boston really killing them at that year, or was that a rebuild year?
No, they had still had Parrish, McHale, and Bird and
Yeah,
Ainge.
yeah, they just got killed.
Yeah.
That's brutal. All right, I like that was a good one. I should have known that.
I've given you guys on the other ones where I haven't messed you guys up. So I wanted to, switch it up.
Right, should know it's coming, but I like those topics. Those are fun. Maybe we'll get you on. I'll get you on one here the next podcast. Okay, so last topic, sports of the night. So I'm watching a lot more MLB, following it a lot more, and they have this strike box in all of your. I mean, they have it on TV, they have it on the websites, they have it on the betting sites. Like everybody has this strike box, but all the time there's strikes outside the strike box and balls inside the strike box. So what does this thing really mean?
Well, they have the challenge system now. And this is what's crazy. So you have the strike box, right? If the ball touches any part of the strike box, so even if it's like this
Right,
much,
like tennis.
yeah, then it's a strike. It's so it could be like on the very end corner, but just touching, and it's a strike.
Yeah, and that's for challenge reasons, right? But in the game, like obviously the umpire doesn't see the strike box or the
Right. Well, that's why that's why it's a strategy of, if you got two challenges, if you get them wrong, you lose them. If you get it right, you keep them.
yeah. So how accurate is this thing?
Oh, the strike box, it's
Hmm.
completely accurate because it's like electronic.
Okay, so the
It's
question,
basically we shouldn't even have umps anymore.
that's what I'm saying. So why do we even have the ump? Why doesn't the ump? No, I'm not saying take away the ump, right? What I'm saying is if it you have the strike box and it's either in it or out of it, and he can either get a buzzer left or right and call it strike or ball, right?
Yeah, I think the purists still want like,
Right. Yeah. But it's just the fact that again, I'm watching this a lot, and it's not rare that you'll see like a strike way outside the box. Like I see them a lot. Or you'll see the ball that's just on the edge, right? It just barely hits the edge, like you're talking about, where it just hits the line and they're still calling it a ball.
well,
And
that's on the
so,
batter though, the batter or the catcher to challenge it then.
right. But then I just don't think they have enough challenges for this. The game would last forever. It's probably why they limit them to two challenges. It just seems like they have a system in place that they could be more accurate on calling the balls and strikes, and they're not using it very well. Like the only way they can use it is through challenges.
Yeah. Well, it's like in the NBA now where you could challenge fouls.
Yeah,
But like, where was the challenge when SGA went up and De'Aaron Fox didn't even touch him?
yeah. Well, because you have limited challenges, right? So if
Right.
you waste your challenge and you need it at the end of the game,
Yeah.
I mean they're hanging on these challenges. The same happens in NFL, right? You challenge when you think it matters the most and it can impact the game the most, right? But sometimes you have to let challenges go because you're like it's too early or it could go either way and I don't want to lose it.
Well, that's the thing is if you get it right, you keep it.
On the baseball. So I could challenge
I
everyone.
think on basketball too, don't you?
Well, doesn't it like you can keep it for like one more? Isn't it kind of like football in that sense, or do they have unlimited?
I don't know.
Because that would be a question I'd have for baseball is do they have unlimited two challenges? Because when you're talking NFL, right, they get the challenge back, but they can only use it one more time.
Okay, I guess you're right. So NBA must call a legal time and send a signal for a challenge. If the ruling is overturned, the team keeps the time and earns a second challenge. Okay, so you're right. So at the NBA, you get one challenge. If you're wrong, you're out of challenges. If you're
Right.
right, you get a second challenge.
But that's capped, right? That's just
That's
like
it.
the
It's
NFL.
just two.
Right.
But yeah, so like in MLB, you get two challenges, two wrong challenges, basically. If you keep getting them right, then you can keep challenging.
Wow. How often do you see challenges? I mean, I haven't seen too many
Oh,
challenges yet.
um, there's one ump, I forgot his name. He got challenged a ton.
In one game.
Yeah.
So they do it then.
Yeah. Yeah, they do it like they put it in my MLB The Show game that I play now. You can do challenges.
Wow. So what do you think about so you mentioned purists, right? That's why they wouldn't use this box electronically. As a baseball fan, would you rather see them use the box or do you like the idea of the umpire calling them and then using the challenges?
Honestly, I would rather him use the box. I'm tired of human error.
Yeah.
Because you think about some pitchers made a career like off that, and you had catchers that would, frame everything,
Hmm.
even though it was a ball or whatever. So I want it to be the letter of the law.
Yeah, I was thinking about that today as well. I was like, why don't they just do it that way? It makes more sense. But
Unions.
yeah. But when you talk about like the origins and being a purist in baseball, you don't want that. They don't want that technology change taking over the game, ruining that history. Because really, you're right. You don't need an umpire at that point. But what you could do, like I said, you could keep them on there and just let them use the box, and they just call it as the box comes through. But I would like to see that. I would like to see that too. I think as I'm watching more and more, I would rather take the human error out of the calls and let the pitchers and batters decide, based on that actual strike zone.
Right. Well, I mean, for me also, because I'm a baseball purist, I'm still kind of irritated with the DH, all universal. I loved the National League having the pitcher bat.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, it's just a given out. But no, it could be whatever happened to bunting? We don't bunt anymore. You don't
Right.
hit and run. It's like now it's just like, okay, analytics, we're just gonna hit home runs.
Right. It's kind of like the NBA in the same sense as you know, it's gone to shooting threes, not running plays, all that isolation, getting up the fundamentals of the game almost.
Right. Because I mean, you don't see very many 300 hitters anymore.
I did notice that when I was looking at some of the batting averages. They seemed a little low.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, when I watched more baseball years ago, there were 300 hitters pretty regular.
Yeah, there were. But they weren't hitting for power as much.
Right. Yeah, they were getting people in scoring position, moving around the bases, like you said, bunting, using actual strategy to score
Well, that's the
runs.
thing. Like going back to basketball, the Cavs, well, analytically, we are winning this series. That analytics doesn't work in the playoffs.
Right. Well, and it
That,
doesn't work when you don't have more points.
right. But that's the thing, like with baseball, baseball in the playoffs, and that's why baseball playoffs is so amazing, is every pitch counts.
Yeah.
And it's just a squeeze, and you have a lot more close games, and you're not hitting I mean, the pressure is on. And so if you are able to move a runner over to second base, hit and run, do all that type of stuff, you're able to win more games. If you're just hoping you can hit a home run, then you're going to get like a 20 something inning game.
Right. Similar to last year.
Yeah.
But that was still, for the most part, the series is still fun to watch. And you're right, MLB is about the playoffs for most people, especially the average fan or the less than average casual fan, uh, myself included. Like I really only had watched the playoffs, World Series mostly for years. No regular season. So watching regular season is a little different. I watch a game here and there, but nothing like watching every day. And you're right, it's changed a lot. There's a lot that's different in the game. One thing and maybe this hasn't changed, but man, these guys just throw so hard, these pitchers. So many fastballs all the time, and it's a 95, 98, 97. I'm like, geez, like just
Well,
consistently for a long time.
yeah, and that's why you're having a lot more arm injuries too,
Yeah,
because there's more wear and tear on the arms. Or was it like Jacob Mizorowski, like how many 100-mile-an-hour pitches he throws a game?
that's insane. Just the whole game. I feel like there was like some of those real 100-mile-an-hour guys that back in the day, they were a lot of your closers a lot of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, because like a good fastball was like 96 to 98 back then.
Yeah.
Like Doc Gooden or something would throw.
Yeah. So definitely the speed of the ball with these pitchers um, throwing for 5, 6 innings at those high miles per hour. That's just nuts. But it's cool. It's good to watch more baseball. So that was we'll be talking more of that through the summer, obviously, because basketball will be ending soon here. Football, though, will be coming back around, so we'll have lots of NFL. but just before we leave here, one last thing I want to talk about was NFL a little bit. I didn't have a chance to dig in too much, but I saw Derwin James resigns 3 years, $75 million for a safety.
Yeah, but he's like their defense.
I mean, he's everywhere. Don't get me wrong. Derwin James is an amazing player, right? But you're setting precedents every time we do this. We talked about this with defensive ends. We've talked about this with the Cowboys players. Some of the Cowboys doing this. There's a new that sets a new precedent though for defensive backs or defensive players in general. Getting paid more. And so when you think about DBs, does that fit into these 20 million, $30 million contracts? Is that something teams should be spending and looking at? I mean, what if you have two of them? What if you got a great corner as well?
Well, how much does Stingley get?
Stingley, he's corner, right? For this
Yeah.
Texans corner. I
He
feel
got
like corners,
390. He got 3 years and 90 million.
yeah, I feel like corners get paid a little bit more in general. So if you have a corner making 3 years, 90 million, and then you want a safety making 3 years, 75 million, that's eating up a lot of cap.
Right. Let's see here. So the safeties.
Well, Derwin's the highest paid safety ever, is what they
Well,
said.
oh, really?
I think they're going by a year over year, his 25 million a year.
Well, Kyle Hamilton, they say he's got $100 million contract for 25. This is showing, I don't know if like how new this is, because it has Derwin James $76 million deal, but 19 a year. So I don't know if that means like he got more of a signing bonus or something, and so his yearly is down.
No, I mean this is what AI's got. Derwin at 25.2 million and then Hamilton at 25.1 because his was 4 years, 100 million and Derwin's was 3 years, 75.6.
Right.
So he was like, I want point 0.1 more than Kyle Hamilton.
Gotcha. It's like the quarterbacks, whoever's the next one.
Yeah, you
So,
get point 0.1 million more.
so basically, we're talking Kyle Hamilton set the market, though.
Yeah, because his is a bigger deal for longer and was before Derwin's. But I guess you could say now that you put another one in there, now your next safety, like it said, has to be above that, right?
Right.
And you're jumping from like Buda Baker at fifth at 18 million. That's a $7 million jump for the next safety to get
Right.
into the top five and to overtake that first place spot. So that's a big cap hit. I feel like the teams are going to have to start looking at this unless the NFL is just going to, keep giving them more and more.
Right. Well, yeah, because you would think Buda Baker is better than Kirby Joseph or Winfield Jr., right? But they're both
Yeah.
ahead of him.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I said, when the next real good ones has to sign again, he's going to be up that 25.3, apparently.
But thinking about it, like, if you're talking safeties, you kind of just talk Hamilton and James, right?
Yeah.
You don't have anyone that's gonna like when Crosby signed his contract, and you're like, okay, what is Miles Garrett gonna get? What is TJ Watt? All these, and there was like a huge line. You don't have that for safeties.
Yeah. I feel like well, maybe Brian Branch down the road, but I feel like a couple of the safeties that were in that conversation you're talking about have kind of aged out almost. Like the and Jesse Bates not even that old, but he's already been through the process,
Right.
and Xavier McKinney kind of already been through the process. So you're right. There isn't besides Brian Branch, I don't think there's a real young one that could come in for a huge contract.
Caleb Downs.
Well, I mean, that's an interesting one because I don't see how he doesn't have a great career. He's got to be a good one. All right. Well, we'll wrap there. So make sure you keep watching and follow us for our next section where we'll get into HSC podcast movies. So we'll see you shortly.